There are stories we tell to make sense of the world, and then there are the stories we bury because they make too much sense. Long before the rise of kings or empires, before the first temple rose from the dust, the ancient world whispered of beings who crossed the boundaries of heaven and earth, creatures of radiance, purpose, and unimaginable authority. They were called the Watchers. Their story is old, older than the pyramids, older than writing itself. Traces of it linger in fragments across cultures, but the full tale survives most clearly in a book many traditions considered too dangerous to preserve, the Book of Enoch. And according to that forgotten text, humanity's earliest chapters were shaped not only by human hands, but by the intervention of divine beings who chose desire over duty, curiosity over command, and rebellion over eternity. This is their story. The Watchers were not warriors, nor were they the messengers commonly described in Scripture. They belonged to a different classification of heavenly beings, one assigned to watch, observe, and guide. They were guardians of human development, a living bridge between heaven and earth. According to one Enoch, they were appointed to watch over the children of men. They were meant to be passive observers, not rulers, not teachers, not lovers, just watchers. But even in heaven, power comes with temptation and curiosity, especially curiosity about humanity, became their downfall. The Book of Enoch places the beginning of this story in the days of Jared, a time long before Abraham, David, or Moses, a time when humanity was still young, fragile, unorganized, small families, scattered settlements, and primitive villages. Earth was raw then, wild, untamed, and silent at night, except for the hanging glow of the first stars. Stars that the Watchers looked upon with longing from their heavenly stations. Humanity struggled in those early days. Survival was uncertain. The world was dangerous, but their innocence, their potential, fascinated the Watchers. Some watched with admiration, some watched with compassion, and some watched with desire. 1 Enoch, chapter 6, describes a moment that changed the course of both heaven and earth. A group of watchers, 200 in total, looked down upon the daughters of men and saw beauty. Not divine beauty, but human beauty. The kind that is fleeting, fragile, vulnerable. It stirred something in them. Their leader, Semjaza, feared what would happen if he acted alone. He knew the consequences. If they crossed the boundary separating heaven and earth, there would be no forgiveness. So he persuaded the others with a simple proposal. Let us all swear an oath. Let us all share in the blame, together or not at all. And under the shadow of heaven, they made a pact. 200 divine beings bound by an irrevocable oath, agreeing to forsake their heavenly status for human desire. The Book of Enoch names the place of their descent Mount Hermon, a towering mountain still standing today between Syria, Lebanon, and Israel. Its peak rises above the clouds, capped in snow even during summer. Hermon is a place of mystery. Ancient shrines dot its slopes. Strange ruins rest near its summit. And for thousands of years, locals called it the Forbidden Mountain. According to Enoch, this is where the Watchers chose to descend. The moment they touched the earth, their fate was sealed. No longer heavenly, no longer eternal in the same way. Their wings, whatever form they truly had, were metaphorically clipped by their own decision. The mountain itself was named after their crime. Mount Hermon, Enoch says, because there they swore and bound themselves by mutual imprecations. a mountain named after an oath of rebellion. Imagine what it would be like for ancient humans, people with no written language, no theology, no advanced structures, to suddenly witness the descent of beings of light. Some would have worshipped, some would have feared, others would have followed in awe. The Watchers were not monstrous, not at first. Their presence was majestic, overwhelming, almost divine. And humanity, unaware of the cosmic disaster beginning to unfold, welcomed their arrival. The Watchers taught, advised, mediated disputes, and brought order. For a time, peace flourished. And then the Watchers took wives, not in a way humans understood marriage, but through force or persuasion, depending on the traditions. They crossed a boundary not just of heaven, but of biology, of creation itself. And what came from those unions reshaped the world. Genesis 6:4 gives only a brief description. There were giants in the earth in those days. But the Book of Enoch gives detail. The offspring of the Watchers and human women were immense, giants of unnatural size and intelligence. Their appetites were impossible to satisfy, their strength uncontrollable, their presence terrifying. These were the Nephilim, the fallen ones, though the term can also mean those who cause others to fall. Different ancient traditions describe them as anywhere from 9 to 36 feet tall, some picturing them as kings, others as monsters. What matters is this: they were not human, and they were never meant to exist. The Watchers, once noble guardians, watched helplessly as their children grew into beings the world could not contain. The Watchers did much more than create giants. They introduced knowledge humanity was not ready for. According to Enoch, chapter 8, Azazel taught metalworking, swords, knives, shields, and breastplates. Kokabel taught astrology and the signs of the stars. Semjaza taught enchantments and root cutting, early sorcery. Penemu taught the art of writing and manipulation. Gadriel taught the ways of warfare and killing. What should have taken civilizations thousands of years to learn arrived in a single generation. Weaponry, cosmetics, magic, astronomy, writing, warcraft, alchemy, knowledge that seems beneficial, but in the hands of a violent world led directly into chaos. Humanity began to turn on itself. Villages fell, violence spread, warfare became common, and above them all stood the Nephilim, hungry, violent, and unstoppable. The world cried out, and heaven listened. This part of the story often gets overlooked. The Watchers didn't immediately revel in their rebellion. As their children devoured the earth and bloodshed filled the land, guilt began to consume them. Enoch records a powerful moment. The Watchers, for the first time, felt fear. They begged Enoch, a human, to become their messenger, to plead with heaven for mercy. Imagine that. Heavenly beings, now fallen, pleading with a mortal man to save them. They knew judgment was coming. They just didn't know how soon. In the chambers of heaven, symbolic or literal depending on tradition, the cries of human suffering reached God. The archangels looked down upon the earth with horror. The Book of Enoch describes four in particular witnessing the corruption. Michael, the protector of Israel, seeing human suffering. Gabriel, witnessing the bloodshed and monstrous offspring. Raphael, observing the violence and famine. Uriel, understanding the depth of the Watchers' corruption. Each one presented their plea before the Most High, and the Most High responded with a decree that would reshape Earth's ancient world. The Watchers would be punished, their children destroyed, and humanity given one final chance. Their fall was only the first act. Continue the journey. Your next revelation awaits.